Hello everybody, welcome to the Plain Mundane Show. I'm Alex Aquarius. Today we're going to read an article called A Brief History of the Planet Earth. Now this is an article I found online, and as I read it, there aren't any names of races or beings that I had not heard before, but it's nice to find it in one article that I can read to you, I think in less than 8 minutes, of what the history is, including when and why they came and who they were. So this is pretty much the consensus of the talking heads today. If you want to say that the Earth is round or flat, they're not as far away, or there's no other solar system, or stars aren't suns, we can figure out the trigonometry later for that. But just check out this article. It's not. You can share this with your friends. All right, here we go. Our universe is approximately 27 trillion years old, and the Earth about 7.5 billion years. Recently, 22 million years ago, the founders, the Paatal, P-A-A-T-A-L, terraformed Earth as a planet to be used as a place for habitation by sentient beings, animals, plants, and minerals. The motivation for creating third density Earth was for a chance to experiment with consciousness, to descend into a 3D, to experience via free will, and to then return to higher consciousness, with all which has been learned in order to remember the fragments of the founders. By the end of this creative process by the founders, which involved a consciousness technology of light infusion, bringing down consciousness from 11th density to a 3rd density, eventually resulted in light coalescing into matter. I understand that. By the end of the completion process, Earth was a conscious being, but could not support normal life and was merely an inhospitable rocky planetoid surrounded by methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. No animals or plants could survive, and in this time, the only spirit life was those which could inhabit minerals and gases. In time, water formed, and over many millennia, little was done in the way of changing the planet's surface. About 900,000 years ago, a hydrogen-based life form, the CCAR, aka Alpha Draconian Reptilian, developed the first biosphere, Eden, on the North American continent, what is now known as the New Mexico-Arizona border. I have to look at that from Google Earth. These ETs introduced the first animal and plant life upon the planet, which helped transform the harsh atmosphere in order to transform it to an oxygen and carbon dioxide-rich environment. Around this time, they captured and introduced the Greys from Zeta Reticuli and used them to assist in many planetary projects. Major work was done on Earth to introduce most of the animals and plants seen in fossil records of the Paleozoic era, which is 554 to 245 million years ago. The CCAR were the first race in the Milky Way galaxy to develop interstellar travel about 4 million years ago. The highest percentage of them were found in the Orion star system. They have a monarchy system of rule, a form of class system composing of royalty, officers, and peasants, similar to what is seen in present-day England and Europe. They were responsible for making the planet hospitable to future animals, particularly mammals. From the CCAR's perspective, the mammals would be used to further establish a stable planetary environment that would no longer require an artificial biosphere to sustain it. While the CCAR were establishing their dominance upon the planet, other Earth colonists arrived. Here we go. They include 763,000 BC, colonials from the Orion star system, Rigel and Betelgeuse, arrived. Orion established their first biosphere in Uromani, China. 741 BC, Capella, Ursa Major, established a biosphere at the base of Mount Yosan in southern Chile. 701,000 BC, Vegans, or Lyrans, L-Y-R-A-N-S, are human ancestors in the Libyan-Niger border. 604,000 BC, the Cassiopeans, an insect race, settled in Algeria, North Africa. 585,000 BC, the Nibiru settled in Cairo, Egypt, bringing with them the moon. I knew somebody brought the moon. It was dragged here and parked as their satellite base and establishing their primary base on Mars. Look up Moon Matrix. 870,000 BC, the Orion sent another team from Perth, Australia. 83,000 BC, the Lyrans returned to the Basque region in southern Europe. That's where they're from. 73,000 BC, the Orions returned at Mount Neblina in Brazil. 79,000 BC, the Pleiadians arrived to Earth. 71,900 BC, Lemuria is founded as a collective colony. Many of these races are pooled resource located at a continent in the Pacific composing of Lyrans, Sirius A, Pleiades, Ursa Minor, and Nibiru. 57,000 BC, Atlantis is founded and the Pleiadians who had left prior to the fall of Lemuria return. Other colonies include Andromeda, Nibiru, Aldebaran, Altarians, Sagittarians. With the exception of Nibiru, these colonists are oxygen-breathing humanoids. 31,000 BC, Lemuria is destroyed by war. 27,000 BC, Atlantis is destroyed by war. And 27,000 BC, the Sumerian civilization is established by the Anunnaki, establishing the rulership of Earth under the dominion of the CCAR overlords. Recorded history begins. This is when you go back to Nimrod and the Sumerians and the books of the Anunnaki and the texts translated by Zechariah Sitchin. I'm adding that. The Anunnaki begin to establish themselves across the planet, develop their own unique monarchy of control through commerce, religion, and politics. The ancestral proprietors of Earth. Throughout Earth's history of habitation, the CCAR have maintained a dominant presence, despite 21 other star races coming to and leaving the planet, and many of them still having established bases either on planet or in bases in our moon, Mars, or other planets within the solar system, and starships located throughout the solar system. The CCAR established their primary base on Mars, with Greys also living there. At present, the resident population on Mars is 2 to 3 million. The CCAR do not know their own lineage due to the immense size of their galaxy and their long, almost immortal history throughout the universe. They are the oldest known reptilian race in the universe that is not extinct. Though they are a perfect warrior race in the sense that they have rarely been defeated, they have never been known to be compassionate to other races, including humanoids. They exist primarily in the 4th and 5th density and may or not be seen by humans, depending on the CCAR's desire to be seen. They are magicians, shapeshifters, and hard to track. The future proprietors of Earth. The CCAR still maintain proprietary ownership of Earth, ownership based on rule of first presence. This rule is annulled when Earth transmigrates into 4th density around the year 2017. That's this year. At this time, humanity will be required to initiate a covenant of ownership should we wish to maintain the integrity of the biosphere. Otherwise, CCARs will revert the planet to a 3rd density planet and commit the genocide of the surface dwellers under the auspices of the New World Order regime. That's it. That's a brief history of the planet Earth. Very concise. Thank you for listening to the Plain Mundane Show. I'm Alex Aquarius. You have a nice day. And please click like and subscribe. Share this video. And we'll see you next time on the Plain Mundane Show.